In his 16 years practice as a civil engineer, Famani over this few years had turned to farming. And I asked him what ignited the idea, the love and passion for agriculture. He tells me it is about what to eat, knowing where the product is coming from, and of course, creating job for others is what motivated him. During COVID time, he decided to turn an abandoned land he inherited from his father into an urban farming. And so today we find ourselves in Farmer Nee's farm, and this is where he has some greenhouses and of course an open area that he's using for farming. In these greenhouses, we have sweet pepper, we have tomatoes, we have cherry, we have cucumber, we have cabbages, and many other vegetables. I'm going for a quick breather. When I come back, Farmer Nee joins me to tell me more about his journey as a farmer. My name is Enyonam, and this is The Ghanaian Farmer. Farmer Nee, thanks for having us.
Thank you too.
We've been planning this like forever, and finally we are here. But 16 years in practice as a civil engineer, why, if you're thinking of adding up an extra venture, farming came to mind?
Well, I was looking for something different from what I usually do. And I think I started around the COVID time where there was a partial lockdown. People couldn't move around. Trying to buy food stuff was a bit difficult. So I started a backyard farming with my kids at home. And doing that, I enjoyed more working out from it. So I was like, this is something I can do. It's fun. And there again, it's unlike the civil that I was doing with projects I felt I could be in charge of what I eat because I know what I'm putting into the plants. That was one thing. I had so much joy handing out foods and stuff to people. When you harvest and you give to them, the joy on their faces was something I loved as well. So that was also another thing. And I was like, people would always eat, regardless. During the lockdown, we couldn't get some food stuff. We couldn't move around. Food is an essential part of our lives. So what if I look at this backyard on a bigger scale and then grow? I think I could get people to buy into it. So that was the thing, the main thing that drive me into this.
Of Farmer Nee.
And that's how we started.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So tell me, what's the acre of your land size?
So the land size is just about 2.5 acres.
Okay.
But with the greenhouses, I'm doing 1,200 square meters of greenhouse farming. And then I'm doing slightly about the same size, 1,200 plus or minus of open fields with the product, the crops that will not do so well in the greenhouse.
How many greenhouses do we have?
So we have 4 greenhouses.
4
tunnels, yes.
And in each of them, what do you have?
So I currently have tomatoes. I have the beef and then the plum tomatoes.
Okay.
What some people say the navungo, but these are very fleshy, not watery. Then I have cherry tomatoes, the very small. Yes, for snacks or salads, I have the red and the yellow. And then in another greenhouse, I have bell peppers, capsicums, the red, yellow, orange, and then the normal green ones as well, yes. And then I have the med cucumbers, the very small cucumbers as well. Very tasty as a snack as well.
Yes.
And then I have another bell pepper. Yes, this one which I started.
The new ones.
Yes, the new ones because I try to stagger the growth. So once I'm terminating one season, I have one coming up.
In each greenhouse, what is the plant population that you have in each greenhouse?
So with this setup here, currently I have about 800 plants. Yes. Okay. In this greenhouse. Yes.
Is it same as the other ones?
It's same as the other ones because I've changed my grow bags. Right. Getting good grow bags over media was a bit of a problem.
Okay.
So, and it's expensive as well. So when I changed them into these single units, I realized I was able to take up more space. So that's how the plant population has increased.
Yes,
but I used to have 700 in the greenhouse. Yes.
Okay. Now let's talk about the raw materials.
Okay.
When it comes to building these greenhouses, did you mobilize all the materials here in Ghana?
No, I imported the greenhouses.
Okay.
Yes, I actually imported them from China, but there were a few add-ons because some of the members didn't come, and then I also tweaked it a little bit to how I wanted it to be. So some of the materials were also bought here, but I believe they were also probably imported. But some of the steel members I bought from our local markets. We fabricated and to join them to complete the setup. Yes,
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Now, the colors of your greenhouses are, I think, almost white or off-white.
Yes.
I see a lot of people using different colors. What goes into the selection of the color?
So with the greenhouse, with me and with what I know, I'm looking at the protected environment, right? And over here in our country, in Ghana, what we tend to be more concerned with is with me trying to keep out the pest. That's why I'm using insect-proof nets, and also trying to keep out the rain from coming in here as well. So we chose a clear plastic, which is UV diffused to get the sunlight coming in with the right rates for the plants. And then we decided to go with the shade nets because the sun can be so high and sometimes the plants cannot adapt. So we went with the shade nets so that when the temperature is really high, the sun is really high, we'll bring down the shade nets. Yes. So those are the things that came were the determining factor for me.
Okay.
And then we decided to do the white ground because it's more or less reflects the heat. It doesn't attract it, so that the greenhouse is not so warm. Yes, and then we had more of the nets so that you could have a good ventilation.
Okay. Do you have a fair idea of averagely how much it cost you to put the structures together? Now, did you do them together or you did it one after the other?
I did them together.
Okay.
Yes, I did all together then. On average, back then, setting up it costed probably about $6,000
for one.
For one.
Okay.
$6,000 for one.
Okay.
These days, I'm hearing people quoting some figures.
It's crazy, yeah.
About triple the prices of But I mean, I think there are a good number of suppliers, reliable suppliers that if you look through, you should get. Yes, and it's also based on the specs you want. Yes, some are much more simpler than because I added the extractors to extract the heat coming out. I think with the members, I reinforced certain parts of it, so those added up to some of the cost.
Okay.
But then if you want to go with a more simplistic one, I think the cost could probably
it goes down depending
yes.
on your pocket. Okay. With a civil engineering background, it means you have no clue when it comes to agriculture or even growing vegetables. So tell me, putting up the team together, how did you made it happen?
So to begin, I mean, I as we were discussing earlier before, I didn't just start up and then I said, oh, let me buy the greenhouse. I started in 2019 doing a lot of research. I went to a couple of greenhouse places. I watched a couple of videos. I even took some online courses on how to manage greenhouses and all that, plants and all that. Yes. So to begin with, I didn't want to start on the wrong foot. So I knew I needed a professional who would more or less guide me into it, even though I'd taken a couple of courses, read so much and all that. So I got external agronomists who were acting as consultants for me when I started. Then I employed the services of an in-house agronomist as well, who was stationed here. Then we recruited people around. So most of the staff, the workers were people that were just from within this environment. In New South over here has been with me for many years.
Okay.
I mean, he was a caretaker on the land, but he was also trained too. And now I think he does trellising better than most of
any
people,
other person.
Any other person that comes here. He's a handyman over here.
Okay.
So more or less a bit of professional and then a bit of
mixed with.
We mixed it up, yes, and then try to coordinate. Yes.
Okay. Now we are being told that look for market before you invest the money.
Yeah.
In your case, all the selected commodities you mentioned, I mean, the pepper, tomatoes, cabbage, carrots, did you actually got the demand for these or you gambled with it?
There was a bit of gamble.
Okay.
There was a bit of gamble. Even though I had spoken with a few people about, I'm going to start this. But I'd also read, and I know there are shortfalls in our generation, especially with the tomatoes importing from. So I felt like, okay, if I could fill that gap, obviously people might still come to me. So I spoke with a couple of people, but nothing concrete. Yes. And then I took that gamble. I mean, with the advice from my consultants as well, we knew that capsicums, bell peppers were always in demand throughout the year because it's difficult to grow on the open field. So growing them in a controlled environment, if you could master that part of it, you'd always get the markets for it. So it was a bit of a gamble, but it was a calculated gamble.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Right. Now let's talk about what goes into your method of producing vegetables here. What do you call your method actually?
So mine is substrate hydroponics. I'm doing hydroponics.
Okay.
And when people hear hydroponics, it's mainly the same growing, but we're doing soilless. We're not using soil.
Okay.
In this case, I'm using a substrate with which is a cocoa peat media.
Right.
The cocoa peat is just coconut husk that has been ground, blended into
a soil,
kind of look with different consistencies.
Right.
Some a bit rough and a bit fine. Yes, just to replace the water, help the plant's roots, and then also when you bring in the nutrients, the plant is able to absorb it.
Okay.
So we're doing fertigation. So our nutrients is put into water in our fertigation room with pumps and stuff. We've done the irrigation lines that are coming, and then we are using the drips as well.
Okay.
So everything is done, calculated the right quantities that you feel the plant needs. They vary at every stage of the plant, and then we just do that, and then we feed them into the plants here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now let's go into the few things I'm saying here.
Okay.
So first of all, the ground is covered with a white sack.
Yes.
Okay. And then there's some sort of tray.
Yes.
And then the plastic containing the cocoa pit is on top of it. Before the fertigation drip pipes are on top of it.
Yes.
Why this so much protection? Are you going to Ukraine war?
You see, as I said, the whole idea of greenhouse is having a controlled environment.
Yes.
So I'm trying to control the irrigation, the water I'm giving. I'm trying to control the amount of nutrients we give into the plants. I'm trying to eliminate as many pathogens getting in contact with the plant as well. So that's why it's a bit elevated as well. And we're doing, bringing in the water, the irrigation. It goes into the cocoa peats, but it drains out.
Okay.
I wouldn't want it to drain onto the floor and then have the grow bag sitting on. We can then bring about infection as well. So that's why I have the channels there with the troughs under there.
Right.
But what I'm also doing is that when it drains off, runs through this channel, and the water is collected in a tank down there, which is then recirculated onto the open field.
Okay.
So that is what I use to irrigate my open field.
Right.
So I tend not to lose a lot of my nutrients and water that is going on.
Okay.
So that's why you say it's this way.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So now let's talk about the medium that you're using to grow the plants.
Yes.
How many rounds or cycle will you go before you replace the medium?
Okay. So ideally, I think you could go about 4 cycles. I've done
Four cycles.
It's in fact I've done more than 4 cycles, but they tend to lose quality with time. If you can look at the plants over here, you can see they were all planted on the same day, but these tend to be looking better than these ones because the media is different.
Okay.
So what happened is I had the full big grow bags, and then I got infected. I was not getting good media to buy. Maybe if someone knows, they can point me towards that. So I more or less disinfected the old ones I imported.
Okay.
Mixed it up with some that I acquired around, and then I started using it all over again. So you can do multiple cycles, but then the truth is the quality degrades with time, because this one, it's made of different sizes. They are degradable as well, so with time they are degrading. Okay. And some tend to hold a lot of water than you would prefer to have them in. So with time you change it. Some of them, through experience, you put in some vermiculite, or if you want to put some perlite. So these are things I've played around with over the time.
All right. So this system of producing vegetables versus open field system of growing vegetables, which one is less expensive?
I think with this one, the initial startup capital is high. Okay. Yes, but I think in the long run, it pays off because have planted plants here put some in the open field. And I always say this, and I liken it to, I mean, I joke with people, but having two siblings or twins, and then you bring one from an impoverished or a ghetto, environment, and then one is put in a plush environment. I mean, when you see them, you can tell
you see the difference.
You see the difference.
Right.
So the plants over here are more or less pampered because when the sun is out, you're more or less providing shade for them. So the plant is not wasting resources to keep cool. Whatever water they need, you are giving it to them at the calculated rates. You're not losing so much to evaporation.
Right.
So you tend to get better quality produce from the air, higher yields from these plants as against the open field. And that is and the plants tend to grow faster over here. With that aside, I mean, being able to go vertical, you're able to keep a lot of plants within the space. So in the long run, the startup capital is huge, obviously, than the open field. But then it tends to pay for itself.
Indeed.
In the end.
The starting is pretty much a huge amount of money. If you look into it, you'll be like, oh my goodness, am I going to spend all this money just to produce vegetables? But in the long run, I always say, as you're selling, you're harvesting, you're selling, you keep making up for the money that you have spent. I'm going for a quick breather. When we come back, Farmer Nee is here. He will tell me more about the system of production vegetables. And if this is what you want to go for, why not? We'll be right back after this. Stay tuned. Thanks for staying. If you're just tuning in, you're watching The Ghanaian Farmer on Joy Prime Television and of course on our YouTube channel. My name is Zenyunam and standing next to me is Mr. Ashon, but he's popularly known on social media as Farmer Nee, and we're discussing his journey from civil engineering to farming. He's still practicing civil engineering. So for those of you who are confused, asking, do I totally resign and come into this space? Well, listen to how to do the transitioning, or listen to how you can combine both. Now, I want to talk about the water, the fertigation. Is it all day they are on, or you time it? You open it at what time in the morning, and then what time in the day does it go off? And then tell me about the...
So the fertigation is timed. We do about an hour and a half intervals through the day. Yes, and we do it and give specific quantities based on the stage of the plant. Yes, sometimes a cycle could be as little as one seedlings from 100 ml per cycle, 50 ml, or to 200 per cycle, based on the amount of water we want to give. So if we think about doing 1.2 liters or 2 liters, we break it up into that cycle. Sometimes it's just not cast in stone. There are days where the weather is cooler, and sometimes we skip some fertigations. There are days where the weather is a bit too hot, then we tend to increase the frequencies of it. But it's not on throughout the whole day. You do the fertigation, you allow the plant to take whatever it has to, some will drain off, and then just making sure that the root zone is not saturated and not too dry. We do subsequent fertigation.
So how many weeks old are these plants?
These plants, I think, should be about 5 weeks.
5 weeks. 5 weeks. How many weeks more to go to start having fruits?
So usually we do about to start having fruits.
Yes.
I'm thinking probably within the next 3 weeks we should have.
Within next 3 weeks.
Yes. At this particular stage, we are having the first fruit sets that are coming in, but we usually take off these fruits before we allow the plant to start bearing fruits. Yes, more or less to let the plant channel the energy that's coming into growing stronger, enough to be able to bear and withstand the long season. So when the first sets of fruits come, the king fruits, some would say, we just pick them off. Yes, and then subsequently when they start coming, we do 2 stems. The branch branches into like a V shape, and then we just do 2 stems throughout the season. So we prune, take off, and then we do that.
All right. So at what stage? This is 5 weeks, and you've already started training it.
Yes.
Why?
Well, the plant in itself is not so strong. And this is going to grow all the way to the wire. So we'll not be able to stand on its own with the weight of the fruits coming. So then the trellis ropes are there to support it. If not, it's going to snap and break. And the fruits will fall off. So that's why we bring in the trellis ropes to give it a bit of support to guide it along the way we want. And as I said, because we're doing 2 stems, you have the trellis rope going in like a V. So one leader on the side and then the other leader at the stem on the other side.
Okay.
Yes.
Even at this space, I remember when we were at the cucumber area, I was asking you, there were some holes, there were some patches on the leaves. Do you still, experience some form of infection, pests and all this, or is it totally off?
Not totally off, because you're trying to control as much as possible.
Yes.
But sometimes you tend to, the wind can blow, as you can see right now.
Yes,
someone
it's open.
Came in and they didn't probably close.
Yes.
You could have some pests coming. Okay. Someone probably went to work in a greenhouse or worked outside, came in, there's an insect.
Right.
So sometimes they tend to come. And then there are some pests that are very tiny, no matter how tiny, they still get in, like the thrips and all that. So you have to also have good IPM measures to control them. So there are protocols. Yes, there are protocols that we engage, sometimes based on the weather conditions and all that, humidity and all that. You could have fungal growths that come in. So you have to have a system in place to mitigate. The key word most often is to be proactive rather than reactive. Yes, but we put in measures to avoid some of this. But the truth of the whole thing is that it's mitigated to a lower, yes. As against being on the open field. If any insect moves around and finds your crops, they stand there, they go on the insects, go and call their family members and say, there's a feast over here, and let's all
come and enjoy. Come here. Okay.
Yes, but with this protected with the nets, the incidents of they coming in are minimized. Yes. Okay. So you still need to have a good management system for it. Okay. Good fertigation, fertilizer regime, good pest control. Yes, you need to have all those.
Okay. So when they are fully matured, your harvesting intervals, tell me, is it daily, weekly?
So ideally, sometimes we do a weekly harvest, but sometimes in between the weeks we do some, because we're fortunate to find ourselves in a built-up environment with lots of residential places here. So we tend to have people coming in. One thing I'll try to do is to deliver the veg to them as fresh as possible. Right. So sometimes people come in and then they get freshly harvested. Yes. I try to keep my staff from getting people to come in, but I've noticed sometimes some people have had the privilege to come in to have a look at it, and then they get, I like this one, which I'm trying to stop though. But you come in here and then you get it freshly harvested for you. All right.
Are you able to tell me the thongs you harvest on a daily or weekly?
So if we're doing a big harvest, sometimes we have a big wholesalers we sell to, people we sell to, or to the restaurants if you're doing that. Sometimes with a bell peppers, on a very good day, you could do as much as one harvest, giving you about 100 kilo. Okay. Yes, and then it will take you about a week or two because they are in stages. Waves, the fruits are in waves, so then the next wave to also turn color fully. With a cucumber, which I have off head, for instance, sometimes we could do like a 40 kilo harvest every day. The cucumbers grow really rapid and fast. So almost every day you could have about 40 kilo harvest. Oh, wow. Yes. Okay. And the cucumbers, sometimes we do a morning harvest and an evening harvest. Yes. Okay. Because we want to keep them in a particular size. Right. Yes. We don't want them to get too big, which affects the taste and all that. Okay. So we harvest the cucumbers every day. The tomatoes and the bell peppers, maybe weekly. Okay. Yes, based on demands as well. Okay. Yeah. What's your staff strength? So I have a staff strength of 6. Okay. Yes. Are they all with my exclusive? Yes. Are they all on the farm? Yes, they are residents. They are always staying here. Yeah, they are here. Okay. I have a little quarters for them over there. Yes. Okay. How are you still managing your time in between working as a civil engineer and also farming? Yeah. Well. That's something I'm still trying to get a good system for. Right. But, most often, a typical day for me, based on what's happening over here or what we've grown, I drop off the kids at school and then I come here. Right. I come here, do morning routine inspections, And then probably by midday, I leave to the other place. Sometimes I bring work from the other place because I have an office, a small office over here as well. So whilst there, I come in, look at it, check whether the fertigation is being done, assign tasks. There's a team leader as well. I discuss with them the night before what is to be done. And then whilst they do it, I occasionally pop in to come and check if things are going as planned. Yes, there are moments you could be taken away from here. A project could take you away. I think in the past 2 months, I've probably been about, the past 2 months, I've probably been here about 5 times. Yes, because I had something I had to do. But it's one thing I always say to people who come in here is that your setup, your system is as good as the people you get to work with.
Okay.
So you could have a magnificent structure, a top state-of-the-art facility, but if you don't have the right human resource over here, everything just goes
bad.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's one thing I'm focusing on, trying to get my people educated, trying to interact with them. Yes, if there's something that's boggling in their mind, something they don't understand, try to discuss. If I have to bring in the external people, so what do you think? We are observing this. What do you think we can do? So I think, yes, if you have a good team, then you can take your leg off the pedal a little bit. But then that's aside. I mean, no one would take charge of what is yours as serious as yourself. That sense of responsibility, sometimes I feel is lacking with our staff, no matter the remunerations you're given. So you cannot be absent.
Right.
Yes, you need to still be actively involved.
So if you're advising someone who is in a corporate space and looking to do something like this, what are these few tips you would share with them?
One, I think you should do a lot of research about what you want, see what your market needs. And then you also look at the human resource that's available to you, and then the capacity you would want to, because you don't go in producing so much, and these are highly perishable produce, and you don't have the market. Then again, people can come in and then decide to dictate how much they want to give you, because they know that once you don't sell, it goes bad on you. So these are a bit of the homework that you need to do. But I also feel farming needs a lot of resilience. Because you could lose a whole season within a week. I was really happy about my tomatoes I had last 2 years. I'd grown them towards the Christmas season. I had a shortage of water. I got water from outside and I didn't check. But unfortunately, I was infected. And
the water was infected?
The water I bought.
Wow.
So, and I'm doing hydroponics.
Yes.
I started, and after a while, I noticed the plant started wilting. And then we started having incidents of bacterial wilts as well. Over here. So a day you could pick as many as 20, 30 plants that would die.
And throw them away.
So within 2 weeks, your greenhouse is
empty. Okay, so what the water you're using is a borehole?
So I have a borehole, which I treat. It's highly saline. It has a lot of salt. So we do a reverse osmosis to do that. And then I augment that with Ghana water as well. And I mean, Ghana water is not reliable these days. So we also buy water from tankers. But what I do is now we try to filter the waters the water that we buy as well, so that we just don't take it and pump it into it. Yes.
But would you say farming is paying off?
Well, there are tangibles and intangibles. Yes. Sometimes you come in here and seeing what planting, seeing it grow, looking at what is coming up. There's that bit of feeling which is not a tangible. Yes, which is not monetary. Yes, sometimes you give off vegetables. For instance, I take vegetables to my church. And I love it when our mothers, most of them, they're so happy always coming to, "Oh, what do you have for me today?" and all that. And you see the joy on their face, which is, So that's a different thing for me. It's also more like an escape for me from the civil world, from the concrete and stuff. You come here, it's a whole totally different thing. In terms of monetary, we're still trying to perfect our acts. We're still trying to build our markets, the clientele base. So it's not the best, but there's still room for improvement.
Recently, government mentioned that they want to make agriculture attractive to the youth. They want to partner young farmers to do contract farming on commercial scale. From your point of view, someone who is in the corporate space, now adding farming, from the experience you've, gathered these few years, what would be your suggestion to the minister?
Well, I think, now the farming is more or less backed by science. What we're doing, we're trying to be more specific, targeted, and all that. I think some of the things we should look at is probably helping with the capacity building in terms of the knowledge, because a lot of people don't really, even up to now, people don't believe in nursing plants in seed trays. So there's a whole lot of education over there. I think we still also don't have a lot of seeds that are probably well adapted and suited to our environment. So this is something maybe the breeders or some people can look at that. And then as well, the inputs. There are times I have to change my region, fertigation region, because some particular nutrient is just not available to us.
Right.
Because, and the inconsistencies in that. I mean, these are things that they could probably be looking at. In terms of, I said farming, you need a bit of resilience as well. Sometimes, as I said, you could lose a whole, if you don't have a backing, something that could back you to restart again.
Right.
What do? Do you just fold up? And that becomes your story for the next person, which will discourage them. But I mean, if there are a bit of, I don't know, sub loans, grants and stuff, you can identify people who are doing well and they need that push. Maybe those are some of the things the government can look at and not entirely based on, I know this person, let's give. There are people who are getting grants and stuff and nothing is happening.
Okay.
There are people who are actively doing so much, but they're also not getting the help.
Okay.
So these are some of the things that I think maybe governments or
can look
systems can look at and then see how they can support.
Okay. Yes. Now, a lot of people watch the Ghanaian farmer across the world. We have followers, lovers all over. For those who are so much enthused, they watch these videos and they become excited. They want to come and invest. For that diasporan who is watching you, and I'm sure that after this interview, and I want for money, what would be your advice to them?
I mean, as we already said, I mean, there's a lot of potential, especially even with this greenhouse. If you want something that you're more in control and more in charge of, it's an option you can look at. But then, so, I mean, you can come in here, do your market survey, your research, what is over there. There's a lot of potential for growth. I said people will always eat. The population is growing fast. People are more conscious of what they eat. You come in here and you look at what's being grown, the environment in which it is. Some of them might even have the knowledge, skill sets that they could probably bring on to help. Yes. So, I mean, it's something it's viable that you can look at. They shouldn't shy away from.
Right.
Because once you come in, you have a good system, you do a good market survey. Once you can produce, people...
You're good to go. How do we find you? Quick. Social media, contact numbers.
So yes, you can find me on social media. I'm mostly on Instagram, Farmani. Yes, you can find me on that. I'm not so active on Facebook.
Right.
Yeah, but you can also see on Facebook as well and on Twitter as well. But mostly I'm on Instagram.
Okay.
When you Google as well, the Google map brings you here.
Okay.
I'm opening up a shop on the Oyarifa Road as well. So
you can pick up your fresh vegetables. But is that, you want to share your number with them?
Yes, I can share. I also have a website where you can go and then purchase what is available and then have it delivered to you within 24 hours.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So those are stuff.
Are you a fan of the Ghanaian farmer?
Oh yes, I'm a fan of the Ghanaian farmer. Some of my hashtags are Ghanaian farmer as well. Yes, when I post pictures and stuff, I do hashtag Ghanaian farmer.
Thank you very much, my brother.
Ourselves, yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So that's it. Mr. Ashon, he is known on Instagram and of course on his website. Just type Farmani. It pops up. If you want to come here for agrotourism purposes, for learning, reach out and book accordingly, and you'll be received and you'll be taking on a tour to see what they're doing. For us at the Ghanaian Farmer, we're here to promote, to project, to put a spotlight, celebrate African farmers, not just the Ghanaian farmer. And so I'll see you on the flip side, but stick to this channel. And of course, our agrotourism is coming up. We're going to Cape Coast. We might just come to Farmani, so just, hold your horses and put your pen to paper and pick up the numbers. Call us on 0554830431 and book. We are taking just 30 people to Cape Coast for agrotourism purposes. Call us, book. He has knowledge, survey all these things are very critical to your survival in the agribusiness space. My name is Enyenam. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the flip side. Bye-bye.
Thank you.